and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video tutorial we're going to learn how to crochet step by step the Myrto fingerless gloves. Okay, this is the third piece of our three-piece set. We have already seen how to work the scarf and the hat, and now we're going to see how to crochet the gloves. So let's see the material that we're going to use and how to start. The material that I'm going to use is Alize Baby Best, which is one of the best yarns for crocheting children stuff, and it's 90% acrylic, 10% bamboo, and each skein is 3.53 ounces and 262 yards, and I'm crocheting with a 4.5mm crochet hook. Now, in the beginning of the video I have a chart where I mentioned how many chains to start for each size. I mentioned the crochet hook that you're going to need for each size, how many rows of single crochet to make the rib stitch in the beginning, and you'll see in a second what I mean when we start crocheting, how many shells that we're going to have in each row, in which row you're going to leave the hole for the thumb, how many total rows you're going to need, and how many centimeters or inches each glove needs to be for each size. Okay, so we are ready to start. I have already started with my chains. I have worked 8 chains, and now we're going to work 1 single crochet across. So skip the first chain, put your hook in the second one to work your first single crochet. 1, next chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 8 chains and 8 chains and 7 single crochet in the first row. Now we're going to start row number 2, and in the same exact way that we're going to work row number 2, we're going to work all the rest of the rows up until we crochet the 24 rows of single crochet. So always start with the chain 1, always turn your work, and what we want to do now is we want to work in the back loops of the single crochet. So if you are going to crochet regularly, this is where you would put your crochet hook, and we have the front loop, which is this one over here, and the back loop, which is this one over here. So we always want to be working in the back loop, so you want to put your hook right in the center of this braid looking like over here. Put your hook in the center and grab the back loop. So starting from the first stitch, 1, next stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last stitch, 7. Okay, this is, see here where we left the front loop, we did not crochet in it, we were only grabbing the back loop, so the front loop makes an outline over here. Now we're going to start row number 3, again chain 1, turn your work, and again work on your back loops. Make sure you do not want to crochet in here because this is a chain that we just worked. The first stitch starts over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and our last stitch, make sure you do not miss it, right here, 7. So this is how your work is going to look like. We have worked the 3 rows together. I'm going to work 21 more rows off camera to have a total of 24. Once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue. I have finished crocheting my 24 rows, and now because it's kind of difficult to count the rows, remember in the beginning when I said that we're grabbing the back loop, that first loop is creating an outline. Now under that outline and over it, there are 1 row of single crochet on each side. So 1 row of single crochet under the outline and 1 single crochet over it. So when you see this heel, like over here, see this kind of peak, this little mountain that it forms, we have a total of 2 rows. So I'm counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and 24. Now we're going to join to form the wrist. So chain 1, turn your work and fold it in half. So I have 7 stitches on the front, and down here I have the 7 chains that I started with. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In each of those 7 stitches that I just showed, you're going to put your hook along with the front side to join the 2 sides together. So put your hook in the first single crochet on the front and on the first chain on the back and work a slip stitch. Okay, second stitch on the front, second stitch in the back, second chain, and work a slip stitch. Third stitch on the front, third chain in the back, and slip stitch. Fourth stitch on the front, fourth chain in the back, and slip stitch. Fifth chain on the front and fifth stitch on the front and fifth chain in the back and slip stitch. Sixth chain on the front, sixth stitch in the back and slip stitch. Seventh and last stitch on the front and seventh and last chain in the back. Okay, chain 1 to secure. Now because we have created a scheme by working the slip stitches, now this is going to be the wrong side of my glove. So I'm going to turn around. I'm going to flip the inside out, and now this is the good side of my glove. So what's very important to remember is that the reason that I worked 24 rows is because the shell stitch has a rule of multiples of 4. So in every 4 rows now, in the beginning single crochet of every 4th row, we're going to be working our shell. So 24 rows in total. My rule is a multiple of 4, so 24 divided by 4. In this row, we're going to have a total of 6 rows, okay, in this glove. So I have worked already 1 chain, so go ahead and work 2 more. So you have 3 chains in the beginning, which count as your first double crochet. And in the very same stitch right over here, in this chain over here, work 1 more double crochet. Okay, chain 2. And work a 2 double crochet cluster in the same stitch. So put your hook in the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, and you have 2 loops on your hook. Grab the yarn, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2. So you have 2 halfway done double crochet, 3 loops on your hook, which you're going to close together. So this was my first out of the 6 shells. So now, in order to count the rows, what you want to do is we just made our first shell over here. So on this outline, you're going to count 1 row on the right, 1 row on the left. On the next outline, 1 row on the right and 1 row on the left. And I want to crochet in every 4th row in the first single crochet of every 4th row. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so let's count again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to start with a 2 double crochet cluster. So grab the yarn and pull through 2. yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2. So I have 2 halfway done double crochet, 3 loops which we're going to close together. Chain 2, and in the same stitch work 1 more 2 double crochet cluster. So in the same stitch, put your hook, grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2. So I have 3 loops on my hook which I'm going to close together. So this was my second shell. In the same way that I would just work the second one, I'm going to work the next 4. Okay, so again, start counting your rows. 1, 2, 3, and 4. To work your first 2 double crochet clusters, so grab the yarn, pull through 2, yarn over once, same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, you have 3 loops in your hook which you're going to close together, chain 2, put your hook in the same stitch to work another 2 double crochet cluster. So grab the yarn, pull through 2, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2. So again we have 3 loops which we're going to close together. We have 3 shells, we need to work 3 more. So because we are always working on the left side of this outline, we always start counting from the right side on the next set. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 right over here to work my next shell. So in order to work the first 2 double crochet cluster, grab the yarn, pull through 2, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2. So we have 3 loops which we're going to close together. Chain 2, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2. We have 3 loops which we're going to close together. Okay, so again count. This is where we just worked, so start counting 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm working my first 2 double crochet cluster, close all of the 3 loops together, chain 2, and work 1 more 2 double crochet cluster in the same stitch. Close all the 3 loops together. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shells. Now we're going to work our last one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same stitch. Close all of the 3 loops together, chain 2, put your hook in the same stitch to work the 2 double crochet cluster. Okay, we have 3 loops which we're going to close together. And now we have left over 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th row is where the 3 chains start into. Okay, so going all around, the pattern repeats itself. So we're not going to crochet any more shells because on the 4th stitch is where my first shell starts into. So I'm going to put my hook in the first chain, in the first stitch for this row. So count from the bottom to the top, 1, 2, 3. So put your hook in that 3rd chain and work a slip stitch. Now we have the first row of shells, and this is how it looks like. Now what we want to do is from here on, in the same way that I'm just going to start row number 2 with the shells, the same exact way you're going to start every single row from here on. Always turn your work clockwise so the yarn is on the back. Work a slip stitch on the first 2 double crochet cluster a second slip stitch under the chain 2 space. So I'm always starting my row on this chain 2 space. So in every row that I start, always begin with those 2 slip stitches. Then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Put your hook under the same chain 2 space and work 1 double crochet. Chain 2, under the same stitch work a 2 double crochet cluster. So grab the yarn, pull through 2, yarn over once, put your hook under the same space, grab the yarn, pull through 2, and close all of the 3 loops together. So this is the first out of the 6 shells. Yarn over once, and now we are always crocheting under every chain 2 space. Okay, make sure you do not get confused with this big hole. This is the separation from the one shell to the other. We always want to put our hook under the chain 2 space of every shell. Now we're going to work a 2 double crochet cluster. Yarn over once under the same chain 2 space, close all of the 3 loops together, chain 2, put your hook under the same space, grab the yarn, pull through 2, yarn over once, put your hook under the same space, grab the yarn, pull through 2, and close all of the 3 loops together. Okay, so we have the 2 out of the 6 shells. Now work the next 4 off camera, and once I finish under the last shell over here, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to close the row and how to work off camera. I have worked my 6 shells, so now put your hook in the first double crochet for this row, which is the 3rd chain counting from the bottom. Work a slip stitch, turn your work clockwise, and put your hook in the first 2 double crochet cluster and slip stitch. Put your hook under the chain 2 space and slip stitch, and start with your chain 3 to begin with again. Now, what I forgot to mention before I started working the rows of shells is that you do not want to crochet tightly. If you do, your work is going to start getting narrower when you have started the rows of shells, but also it's not going to be stretchy enough on your hand. So make sure you crochet loosely the rows of shells, okay? So go ahead and work the next rows of shells in the same exact way we just did the second one. Once I reach the spot where we're going to need to work the row to form the hole for the thumb, I'm going to turn my video back on. I have worked 2 more rows and I have a total of 4 rows of shells, and now it's time to start create the thumb, okay, the hole for the thumb. So what I have done so far is I finished on the inside working the 4th row. I turned my work clockwise. I have worked my 2 slip stitches and I brought myself here on the first chain 2 space. Now what I need to do is I need to find the scheme that we worked the slip stitches. Okay, the scheme is right over here. And fold in half so you have the scheme on the center. Now turn it around so the scheme is on the bottom. And what I need to do is I need to find on the side which shell is aligned better with the side fold over here, and it's this one over here. And I'm going to put a stitch marker, and this is the shell that I'm going to skip. I'm not going to crochet into in order to form the hole. Now this is the right side glove. For the left side glove, you would go ahead and put your stitch marker on the left side of the you would go ahead and put your stitch marker on the right side of the glove to work your left glove. So for the right glove, you need the stitch marker to be on the left side, and for the left glove, you need the stitch marker to be on the right side. So let's go ahead and start. So this right here is the stitch that I'm going to create the hole. So I'm going to work my shells a little faster because we have already seen how to work them. So I need 3 chains and a double crochet, chain 2 and a 2 double crochet cluster under the same stitch. So I'm going to be crocheting fast because we know what to do under every chain 2 space. and a 2 double crochet cluster. And in the next stitch I have my stitch marker, so I am not going to crochet in this stitch, but I need to work chains to substitute for the shell. So in the next row I'm going to bring the shell back, so I need to always have a total of 6 shells before and after the row that we work for the thumb. Okay, so I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, in order to substitute and to create the hole over here. And then I'm going to work a slip stitch in the 3rd chain, counting from the bottom to the top. Now, if your next stitch is not the beginning of your work where you're going to work a slip stitch as I did, you're just going to continue working your shells. So if this was a shell, I would go ahead after the 3 chains and work a shell right in here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my new row, the 6th row of shells, and I'm going to bring back the shell that I removed in order to create the hole. So I'm going to turn clockwise. I'm going to work 1 slip stitch in the 1st chain, 1 slip stitch in the 2nd chain, because I want to bring the shell in the center of those 3 chains that I worked. So the 2nd chain is the center. Chain 3, work 1 double crochet in the same chain, chain 2 and 1 double crochet cluster in the same chain. Okay, so right here in the 2nd chain I brought back the shell that I removed in order to create the hole, and see how it's aligned with the shell that was down here. Now keep working your shells, and once I finish my row I'm going to turn my video back on to see how many rows we're going to work off camera, and then how we're going to finish our glove. I've completed crocheting all around. I have my 6 shells again. Now put your hook again on the 1st stitch for this row, work a slip stitch, and see how we have created the hole over here. So now we're going to go ahead off camera and work 2 more rows of shells. Then I'm going to turn my video back on. We're going to see how to finish crocheting up here, and then how we're going to work a few rows around the hole for the thumb, so we don't just have a plain hole. You can leave it like this if you like, but I'm going to show how to work 1 or 2 rows around here, so we have a nice opening here for the thumb. So go ahead and work 2 more rows of shells, and then I'm going to turn my video back on. I've worked my 2 more rows off camera, and this is how my glove looks like at this point. So I have completed the last row. I have worked my shell, slip stitch, and have not worked anything else after the slip stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work. What we're going to do now is we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch, and when I say every stitch, every shell is made of a total of 4 stitches. A 2 double crochet is 1 stitch, 1 stitch in each of the 2 chains, and the 4th single crochet is on the 2nd 2 double crochet cluster. Okay, so let's start. First single crochet on the 2 double crochet cluster, 2nd stitch on the 1st chain, 3rd stitch on the 2nd chain, and the 4th stitch on the 2nd double crochet cluster. Now on the next shell, the 5th stitch on the 2 double crochet cluster, the 6th stitch on the first chain, 7th stitch on the second chain, and the 8th stitch on the second 2 double crochet cluster. So because I had 24 rows of single crochet, I'm going to finish with 24 single crochet on this row. I'm almost done crocheting with my row. I have worked my 23 single crochet so far, where the 23rd is on the second chain of the last shell. And now in order to work the last stitch, the 24th, because in the beginning of every row we were starting with 3 chains and a double crochet, in order to make it count as one stitch, put your hook under this hole over here and work the 24th stitch. Now put your hook in the first single crochet for this row and work a slip stitch. Chain 1, and now we're going to work a second and last row of single crochet in order to straighten out the edges, because on the first row of single crochet, see here where we worked in the chain 2 space, how it makes like a little peak over here and then goes down, then a little peak. So we want to straighten out the edge. So we're going to work a second and last row of single crochet all around for a total of 24 stitches. Start from the first stitch, 1, next stitch, 2, 3, and keep crocheting all around for a total of 24 single crochet. I worked my 24 single crochet. Now put your hook in the first single crochet for this row, work a slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn, pull the loop, and fasten off. So see how nice and perfect the edges look like now, the second row of single crochet. We have completed the main body of our glove. Now we're going to see how to crochet a few rows around the thumb over here. Now we're going to see how to crochet around the hole for the thumb. Okay, now we're going to start crocheting right over here. Firstly, on the V-stitch that we left without crocheting when we created the hole. So I'm gonna work 1 single crochet here, 1 in each of the 2 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4th stitch on the second double crochet cluster, 5th stitch on the 2 double crochet cluster over here. Okay, so I have 5 stitches so far. Then going upwards in each of those 2 chains of the double crochet, I'm going to work 1 single crochet. So 6 and 7, 8 right over here on the left side of the center shell over here, 8, 9, 10 on the right side of the center shell. Now going downwards, I'm going to work 1 single crochet in each of the 2 spots right here on the 2 double crochet cluster. I'm crocheting horizontally on the double crochet, so I need 2 stitches to cover the surface. So 11, 12, the 13th stitch is right here. This is where we started, and this right here is going to be the 13th stitch. This is where we started, and this is where we're going to finish. Okay, so let's count from the beginning again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, and the reason I'm showing the stitches this way, because when I'm crocheting in the round, it's going to be very, very difficult to see where I'm putting my crochet hook into. Okay, so let's start right here on the 2 double crochet cluster. Attach the yarn and work 1 single crochet in the same stitch. Okay, 1 single crochet in the next 2 chains. So this was my first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, right here on this 2 double crochet over here, on 2 double crochet cluster, 5, going upwards now on those 2 chains, 6 and 7. Now we have the center V stitch over here. So far I'm on the 7th stitch. 8 on the right side of that shell, 9 in the center, 10 on the left side, now I'm going downwards and I'm crocheting horizontally on this double crochet over here. So 11 on the beginning of the stitches and 12 on the bottom of the double crochet, and the 13th stitch on this 2 double crochet cluster over here. Okay, make sure you're not crocheting tightly because you're going to make the thumb hole narrower and the thumb's not going to fit through there, so make sure you're crocheting loosely again. So put your hook on the first single crochet for this row and work a slip stitch, chain 1, and now I'm going to go ahead and work a second row of single crochet. So now it's easy because we're only working 1 single crochet all around, okay, for a total of 13 stitches. So starting from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and the last stitch 13. Put your hook in the first single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn, pull the loop and tighten up. Okay, so this is how it looks like when we crochet a few rows for the thumb. If you like, you can go ahead and crochet a few more rows, okay, depending on how you want this part over here to look like. So what I always mention in my videos is that the charts and the projects that I show, how to work the rows and etc., you can use it as a base to work the designs in any way you prefer. So there is no right or wrong on how to start the glove up until the thumb, how long you want it to be. If you want the glove to start up here, you can go ahead and crochet more rows of shells. What's right and or wrong is that you need to follow correctly the rows you're going to crochet for the wrist over here, so they are multiple of 4, so the shells sit nicely and correctly around the wristband. Okay, so you can go ahead and if you want, you can crochet more rows of shells. What's going to be wrong is if you have too many rows after the thumb and the glove comes out of your fingers. Okay, so we do not want that to happen. So you need to measure and make sure you have the right number of centimeters and rows needed to cover that area. Okay, so thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you like the video, please press like and leave a comment. Thanks again. Bye bye.